Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast with your host, Chris. I happen to be the person I am talking about. Welcome, everybody, to today's episode number 136. I'm tired already. That intro took a lot out of me. No, it didn't. Welcome to all the new listeners, returning listeners, old listeners, dead listeners, non-listeners, everybody. Welcome, everybody. I have a great guest for you today, and I'm so excited to chat with her. I have had chatted with her. As always, I'd like to promote my Twitter and Instagram. Both are at casting42. And you can also email me at castingfor2@gmail.com. Castingfor2@gmail.com. And if you'd like to send me some love on the iTunes or the Google Music or the Stitcher or even the website, I would really like that. And yeah. I'll also be at RTX next week, so I'm very pumped for that. So July is going to be a crazy month. It's the third year of doing the show. July marks that, and I have a lot of awesome things planned. So yeah, but you know what? I feel like I'm just kind of killing time right now, which I shouldn't, because I need to get into today's guest. My guest, I was so excited to chat with her. I'm so grateful. My guest today is Erin Fein from Psychic Twin, and she was also in The Headlights, and she is just so talented, such a beautiful voice, great musician. Oh my gosh, I nerded out, not gonna lie. And you know what, let's just get into this episode. Okay, Chris, cue the music, please. Hello.
Hi, stranger.
Hey, Erin.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes. Am I on speaker or anything like that?
Yeah, you're on speaker in my bedroom.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's just that.
Okay. Yeah, cool. How is your day going so far?
Well, it's going okay. I live in Brooklyn these days, and the train that I ride to work every weekend is under construction for the foreseeable future, which means that it is a hell of a journey getting to and from work. And that is frustrating.
No, I get you.
Yeah, it's new. It's still an adjustment for me with the train thing. I didn't grow up with trains.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up with like this long distance sort of life. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just an interesting thing to like adjust to that, you know.
Right. And so how long is it projected that this train is going to be out?
Well, the thing is, you never really know.
Right. It could be fixed tomorrow for all you know, or 2 years.
Yeah. It's hard to say. It's an interesting thing about living here. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like sometimes New York City is simultaneously in the future and yet stuck in the past. You know,
Hmm. No,
it's weird. It's like the epicenter of the world in some ways, and then you have these elements of it that are quite out of date. I mean, the metro, the subway it's awesome that it exists and that it's pretty expensive, but it's pretty out of date in a lot of ways. It's, there's a lot of like old technology being used. Construction takes a long time. People have to wait a really long time. It's a real adjustment. It's just interesting,
And so you've lived in the city for your whole life? Question mark.
No, no, I'm from the Midwest. I'm
Gotcha.
from Champaign, Urbana, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from the Midwest, and um, so I've been in Brooklyn for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
So I've definitely experienced life at two different paces, I guess. You know what I mean?
Right, right. No, I totally get what you're saying. When I was going to school, it was nice because I would still have to walk, but everything was still closer together, and I miss that aspect. Now, when I have to go to work, it's I have which freeway am I going to take today?
Where
Versus
are you? Live?
right now, I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, I've been there.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's okay, but I just where when I was going to school, it was up in Canada, and so I just like that closer proximity.
Yeah, yeah. It seems I guess it's kind of a generic thing to say, but everywhere you live, there's like some advantages and there's disadvantages. And maybe it's just a matter of figuring out what things you can tolerate. You know.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, but yeah, so I want to start off the podcast with a little story, I guess.
Oh, I like that.
Just a little the story of how I became obsessed with the headlights.
All right. I'd love to find out about that.
Well, okay, so polyvinyl. I got hooked on polyvinyl a couple years ago, and what I like to do is I go through the LPs, and if I see a picture I like, I'll
Yeah.
research everything about the band.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So then when I heard Cherry Blossoms, I was just so sold.
Oh.
So then I bought 3 albums, and then when I started getting press releases and stuff from Polyvinyl, I said, yeah, as long as I get to talk to the headlights, I'll be fine. And and then I did more research. I'm like, oh, they're not around. Well, and then again I found your newest project, and I was like, there's still a chance.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, that was definitely an era of my life, a special era of my life.
And so, what the one question I like to ask, or I like to ask musicians, a lot of questions, but when did you know that for you, music was going to be a thing?
For me, I think it's funny looking back with hindsight. I feel like it seems like it was almost always destined to be something that was a major part of my life because I was writing music and writing my own little songs and playing the piano and the keyboard since just about as soon as a little person could touch the instrument. I was on it in my parents' house. And started writing songs when I was really, really little, for whatever reason, which is kind of weird when I think about it. Like, it seems like, I guess it's sort of second nature to me, which I think perhaps that's just something that is built inside of your personality sometimes, what you're drawn towards. So I was always drawn towards music. I think that for me, personally, because, who knows, probably a lot of reasons. Maybe because I was born in the Midwest and kind of had a picture of life that I didn't imagine it was possible for me to be a musician the way that I wanted to be for a long time. I just sort of felt like, oh, well, that's something that other people do, other places in cities or from a different kind of background. It was like something that I had a hard time imagining. So I used to fantasize about, I don't know, I got really into some female artists when I was young, and I used to really fantasize about doing that, but I just had no idea where to begin and absolutely no connections into the world of it. So I think for a long time that was just a fantasy in my mind, and then one thing led to another, and I sort of began to see a path towards music that was more tangible.
Okay. And so were your parents musicians?
No, my parents love music very much,
Mm-hmm.
very much. My mom can play guitar and the piano, and she can sing. And my dad is absolutely tone deaf, but he really loves music. And they're both very eclectic in their musical taste, and they definitely did a wonderful job bringing music into my life and the life of my brothers. So I definitely owe them. My oldest brother in particular, when we were little, got into really cool music when he was pretty young, and he's 6 years older than me, so he was exposing me to good music and interesting music, cool stuff on the radio and all of that, but also just music that you would only probably hear about if you were kind of like a music nerd, which he totally is/was. And so I got lucky to be exposed to a lot of good music. And my brother Adam and my brother Seth, we were in a band together when we were young.
Uh-huh.
So there's definitely music in the family, music running through the blood of the family.
What was your band name?
It was called Absent Blind.
Oh, all right.
Kind of a mouthful. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but it was, you know what? It was a cool band for the time. It was the 90s. It was kind of psychedelic. It was a little all over the place, I would say, but it had roots in like shoegaze and psychedelic rock, and there was a lot of cool influences. And we were all pretty young, and I would say that everybody involved in that were developing their aesthetic and their songwriting abilities. So I wouldn't necessarily say that every part of that project was great, but there was some really cool stuff that happened, and it was a really exciting time. I mean, it's pretty cool to think back that when I was a teenager, I was in a band with my brothers, and we toured, and we had some adventures that were pretty magical.
Right on. Yeah, I see. I too come from a musical family. The only thing is everyone. Like my sister played, sax and bass clarinet, woodwind instruments, and I was always the brass. And then I got into drums later. I don't have anybody to tour with unless I'm just a drum band.
Hey, that's cool though. I played the bass clarinet in middle school, so.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, but see, I mean, you had brothers. They could play a different instrument.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The rock thing first, and it was exceedingly cooler, I guess.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to the stage. Chris and his sister, and I come out with a tuba and a bass clarinet. Lamest band ever.
You know what? That's all right. I think when you get older, you realize that that's actually pretty damn cool.
Right. Now that I'm older, if I see a tuba in like a rock band, I'm like, absolutely rock that tuba.
Right. just bring it out on stage and do something with
Exactly,
it.
exactly. So when after the headlights end, when do you think to yourself, you know what, I want to get back into music, or was the music something you were always doing after the that band ended?
Well, it's kind of a winding road, really.
Mm-hmm.
As Headlights was coming to its kind of natural conclusion for a variety of reasons, I realized this was actually 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
which is mind-blowing to me. But anyway, I realized as that was kind of winding down, I really had, I guess it was sort of like an internal crisis, because I think on some levels it made sense for me to maybe move forward and have more of a traditional life as a female, like to maybe think about having a family and doing just something more traditional. And that was challenging because I have that like pull inside of me, like not like every woman, but like a lot of women, a lot of people who want to have a family, you know. And I think that I was struggling because I knew also at the very same time that I had this really, really deep desire to do my own thing. I'd never really done my own thing where like I was the sole songwriter of a project.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had, I think all that stuff maybe I was referencing earlier about my heroes as a child and not being able to envision that as a possibility. And then I sort of had this kind of realization that I knew how to do it now. I knew that I could do it, or at least I thought that I could do it, you know. And I really, really wanted to try. But it meant to continue kind of slogging away as a musician, which is it's not an easy thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I had a little bit of a crisis about it internally, but ultimately I guess I realized that it was too strong of a passion kind of inside of me that I really just had to find out what I could do if I made my own record.
Mm-hmm. And is that when you just kind of test the waters with your LP Strangers?
Yeah, I mean, it took a little time to get to that point. I wrote a bajillion songs and was kind of experimenting. I was pretty solid in that I knew I wanted the aesthetic of Psychic Twin, like the musical aesthetic, to be something that was very much a reflection of my taste and my, even somewhat of my nostalgic love of music that I grew up with. And so there was a time period where I just started writing songs, even at the end of Headlights, just a lot of songwriting
Mm-hmm.
and experimenting until something emerged that I felt sounded like the project that I was wanting to go with. And not long, I guess maybe a year or so after that, I was able to put out a couple of 7 inches.
All right. And so can we talk about the sorry the first the first single I heard was Strangers,
Mm-hmm.
and it is such a beautiful song, and the music video is so beautiful, and everything, I love everything about it. I was going crazy when I first heard it.
Oh, well, thank you. That's really kind of you to say.
Uh, oh, of course, of course. I have two questions. What was the process of writing that song?
Well, that's an interesting one. I think I learned a little bit more about myself as a songwriter with that when I was living in Illinois still, and I realized actually quite a long time ago that the process for songwriting for me that really I think works best is to do a kind of stream of consciousness songwriting, in that I like to record as I like to record as I write, and I like to really just be able to turn everything up and get in a really, get in a creative zone and just experiment. And then when something sounds right, I like to record it and track it right on the spot and kind of build upon that. So I was kind of figuring that out. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. I was figuring that out at that point after having written songs for a long time. And I had written another song called The Key that was that originally was Strangers. And I just wasn't satisfied with the structure. I didn't think the lyrics were quite, I don't know, I didn't feel like they had quite enough depth.
Mm.
So, but I really loved the melody. There were some elements of it that I just really loved. So I scrapped the lyrics and I scrapped, you know, some of the structure, and I took the section of that song that I thought was really strong and started to write another song over top of that, and that's ultimately where Strangers came from, in a real sort of haze of emotion on top of another song.
Okay. Well, and then where did the idea for the music video come from?
Well, that is almost an impossible question to answer. Somewhere very, very deep inside that comes from a place that I don't totally understand.
Gotcha. No, because when I watch the music video, it's just, oh my gosh, these two things just fit together so well, and,
Uh,
I can't imagine one with the other. That's my thing.
oh, that's quite a compliment. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, the music video was made by a young woman named Alessandra Hosher, who is an artist and musician that I just have tremendous respect for, and we really connected, and I wound up going down to Savannah, Georgia to make that video with her, and we really had a tremendous experience making it. You know, it was just one of those moments where you really feel like somebody has come in to work with you, but you feel like they were almost always a part of it. You know, that's how natural the connection between us was, and I think she understood the headspace that I was in when I wrote the song, and she was able to make something that just really, really worked beautifully with the music.
And so it was announced earlier, no, not too long ago, that you will be having a new album, for a debut album. I guess.
Yeah.
What was the process of that?
Man.
Was you yeah, I don't want spoilers, okay?
How many hours do we have? No, I'm just kidding.
We have 20 hours to fill, so go ahead.
No one's going to want to listen to this podcast. It's going to be
don't no, I will listen to it.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Well, I'm trying to think of a condensed way to explain this. I suppose this is good practice for me, because if other people are interested in finding out about this, I have to find a way to explain this not in 24 hours.
Yes. And you know, if they say, well, no, I want the real answer, just direct them over here.
Yeah, I'll be like, listen, I have a 24-hour podcast.
Yes.
That you can listen to. Casting for Two, it'll tell you everything.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'll take a stab. I went through a lot of changes as Psychic Twin developed. I had originally started working with one of the members of Headlight in Psychic Twin, and we wound up going our separate ways a couple years into this project. And so I continued forward. It was it's been kind of a tough journey. My life went through a lot of changes. I wound up going through a divorce, which was very difficult, as is the case for probably most people. And that was hard. I realized also that despite the fact that it was kind of a painful decision, I wanted to move to New York because I felt like that made the most sense for what I was trying to do musically, and I kind of had this growing desire to pursue music to its fullest extent, and I felt like I wasn't able to do that where I was living at the time. I just really, really wanted to surround myself with artists and people who were pursuing music in a way that I hadn't experienced before, and I knew that New York City would provide a really interesting backdrop that I that I would not be able to compare to my experience in the Midwest. Not necessarily better. I don't know. It just depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, it's like kind of like different
So,
energies.
yeah, different energies, because I think you can make really amazing art anywhere.
Hmm.
So that being said, I really had a burning desire to come to New York City and experience, that sort of classic dream of moving to New York City and being around all these dynamic electric artists and seeing what would happen with the project. So I came out here, and it part of the process was just reestablishing my life. I kind of had to start over again, you
Hmm.
know. So I got a bartending job, and I was working like a dog, but I kept going with the music, and I was able to take what I had started to write in Illinois and continue to write and record in New York. I was bartending and paying people to play live with me and kind of searching for a partner in crime who would help. My best, what is ideal for me is to find like a technician and a drummer and a partner in that regard who will help me, record and kind of be my partner in the technical side of things, so that I can just write and kind of get emotional and really get deep into the process.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was finally able to find a wonderful, wonderful woman named Rosanna Caban out here after several years, and she really came together as my live member and my recording partner. And, I think what happened was I just kept pushing, and I kept writing, and I kept playing shows, and I kept searching, and slowly but surely pieces just started to fall into place.
Hmm.
And I met someone to finish the record with, and Rosanna came on board. I wound up meeting a fantastic manager who helped me pull the pieces together. Polyvinyl came, sort of back into the picture, and they were like, wow, this is really cool what's developing here. And that came together. I mean, just, I guess the universe kept saying, keep going, even though it was taking, I suppose, longer than I anticipated.
Hmm.
And eventually, I still don't quite know how it happened, because it was really hard, but it got finished, and now it's going to come out in September.
There you go. And I can't wait to listen to it, um, because another story time with Chris. Uh,
Very fun.
I've ever since I moved to San Antonio, because I lived in Oregon, and I love Oregon. That's that's where I consider my home. But when I moved here, I felt this weird. Just I don't know. There's something about Texas that Texas and I don't agree with, right? So
I'm sure.
yeah, yeah, and so I've had writer's block for 3 years now, and it's not like I don't have ideas, but it's just I have trouble getting them on paper. That's my problem. And
Mm-hmm.
and so this year, I said, you know what, I'm gonna get myself out of this funk. I'm gonna write a script. I'm gonna direct it. It's gonna be awesome. And one of the things I use when I write is I listen to a lot of music, lots of music, and so it kind of judges what the tone of the script for me anyway. So and of course I listened to your LP nonstop, but I'm excited because now I get more songs to listen to when I write.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, the idea that, I don't know, anything that you would create, having someone say that it's in some way like inspirational for them and their art, that's just really touching and awesome. And thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, I was so excited to chat with you, and still am. And um, I'm sure after we hung up, I'm just gonna pass out. I'm probably, I don't know.
Now, don't do that unless you're on a very soft surface.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna roll over to my bed and then pass out.
Okay, that I'll accept.
All right, cool, cool. But one thing I like to do is for people who would like to follow you and, of course, keep in touch with you, shows, anything like that, where can they do that?
So just a variety of different places, pretty standard. Facebook, you can find Psychic Twin on Twitter as I am Psychic Twin. If you want to see mostly me tweeting dumb photos and stuff like that. I'm on Instagram as Psychic Twin, and there's a website that's IamPsychicTwin.com.
There you go. And did you have anything you wanted to talk about? I know you're going on tour.
Yeah, I have a tour coming up with Lady Hawk that I'm really excited about. A week of shows on the East Coast and into Chicago, so that'll be coming up very soon.
There you go. And so, unfortunately, now is the time when I have to let you go and create more awesome music and do good things for the world.
That's okay. I think it went well, and I'm glad it actually was not a 24-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's a lot of hard drive space, and
it sure is.
I mean, I don't know.
Very reasonable length of time.
Right. Yes, I don't know if you like getting sleep, but I occasionally like getting some sleep.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, we'll break it down in chunks. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
But you have a wonderful day, and whenever you want to come back on, or even better, if you want to come on down to Texas when you're touring, I would absolutely love to see you guys.
Absolutely. Please keep in touch with me. I think we will definitely be in Texas this fall.
Awesome. I will be there, or be square. Does anybody even say that anymore? I don't know.
You just did.
Okay. All right. Touche.
I think you should make it cool again.
Yeah. I said the other day I was hanging out with some friends, and I've never used the word fleek before. But I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little goofy, and I feel like making fun of the younger people, so I'm going to say fleek. And everyone stared at me, and I was like, what, is that not cool anymore? It's like, no. I was like, oh, geez, I can't win.
You were too late to the party.
You know what? I'm fine being late for the fleek party, all right? That's fine. I'll keep my my dudes.
I give you credit for trying. I really do.
Well, thank you. As long as people laugh, I don't really care.
Yeah. Keep using it.
There we go. There you go. All right. So you have a wonderful day, and even better year and all that good stuff.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the interview, and take care, and hopefully we meet at some point.
Yes, I would like that.
Awesome, man. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.